This man needs no introduction because he has made you laugh for years. Lil Rel Howery is joining us at the Martha's Vineyard African American Film Festival. Lil Rel, what brings you to the chair? What brings you to the island?
Well, the class reunion is why we're here, but I'm just excited, man. Like, I get a chance to go to a lot of these film festivals, and it's just something about just being with us and celebrating us and celebrating our films and our filmmakers, and to be a part of the 23rd year is kind of insane.
Well, what's insane is this movie, The Class Reunion, that you're not only in, but you're also producing.
Yeah, they was shout out to Chuck and Bree for letting me come on as a producer outside of just being an actor. And honestly, this whole production was very collaboratory. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Chaz is an amazing director. I feel like I learned a lot from her. Bashir's a genius young writer, and so this is beautiful. It was a great cast too. It's one of those things where like the reason why when you watch the movie it feels like. It feels like we're all familiar because that was the energy on set.
When people see you on screen, your brand of comedy, how would you describe it?
Honest. I'm about, if I bring funny, I want it to be honest. Like whatever character I'm doing, whatever the funny is in the movie or television series or whatever, I just like it to be honest. Even when you see my stand-up, it's all about honesty. So I think the more real you are, the funnier things are.
At the African American Film Festival, it's a platform to give creators of color an opportunity to shine, stopping them from being stereotyped or pigeonholed. As a stand-up comedian who then transfers into acting, how did you break out of those boundaries, those stereotypes where all they saw you was as a stand-up comedian and not give you a break as an actor?
What's interesting? It wasn't that complicated because it's kind of an easy transition for most comics if you accept it. You wouldn't believe how many stand-up comics are scared to act.
Okay.
Like they on stage doing characters, they doing all this stuff, and then you give them a script, they freeze, and that's so weird to me. I know so many comics that experience that I have to check. Like, fam, you literally on stage acting every time I see you do a set. It's the same thing. Or you just uncomfortable reading somebody else's words.
I was going to say, let's unpack that because you talked about how collaborative the set was for the class reunion, how you could come to set, and Chaz, the director, talked about coming to set and, bouncing ideas off. Stand up, you write all your stuff, so it's your words. But now you got to bring somebody else's words to life. How do you switch those brain? How do you switch your brain on that?
That's a great question, and that's why I like a real good collaboratory director, right? And Chaz was perfectly that. Because sometimes you run into, I've done stuff where it was a lot of headbutting because for me, if you hired me to bring what I bring. And I like to bring the funny, and it's a way I bring funny. So if you hired me to bring the funny, let Lil Rel bring the Lil Rel version of the funny. Mm-hmm. That's what you hired me for. So, I love, Jordan Peele is, to me, almost spoiled me in a way. Well, my first feature film is somebody who, okay, this is what I wrote, Rel, now give me a Rel take. When he started saying, give me a Rel take, it made me want to do whatever he say. Because I knew I have an opportunity to add my little twist to it. And Chaz did the same thing. It was like even just outside the funny stuff, even with the dramatic stuff, we have discussions about what this means, why we should deliver it this way. And I love that we was able to have those talks before we shot.
It sounds like there's been mentorship, right? Because as a stand-up, you're out of here, right? Everyone knows that you're out of here with that. You're amazing at it. But acting is this newer thing that you're getting into, and the directors are taking you under their wing and working with you. Do you do that for young comics, or do you do that for people who are trying to get into the business?
100%. That's a part of my personality. You know what I mean? This was interesting about me. I was acting when I was a little kid, and I don't care if it was just those church plays or school, but I did that. That's how I knew I can do this. Stand-up was just a dream of mine that I started at the high school. It's like, okay, God, I don't know anybody in this business, but I used to look at the Chicago Sun-Times. Used to have a Weekend Plus. And literally from the age of 13 until I graduated, it had a list of comedy clubs. And I said when I turned 18, I graduated high school, I'm showing up at one of these places. And that's exactly what I did. But I always knew that I wanted to be in the mix of this. I mean, you think about Eddie Murphy, Keanu Ivory Wayans, Robert Townsend. Those are like the cats I looked up to. And they did everything. And with Eddie Murphy, he did everything. So I assumed if you was going to do stand-up, you had to know how to act too. So I always assumed all of it was a part of it.
This wind beneath your wings, right? The old Bette Midler song, "Wind Beneath My Wings." What floated you? What floated you there? Because you're like, when I'm 18, I'm going to do this. Where'd the confidence come from? Where'd that courage come from? Because not every kid is saying, "I'm at 18, I'm going to tear these comedy clubs down."
It's so, you know why that's a dope question? I'm mentoring a 14-year-old comedian now who I'm directing his pilot this week. And it's like, my dream was so big because my parents didn't know what to do with me. And the reason why I bring him up is his parents are actually paying for the pilot to be shot. And that's what makes me want to support that family, because a lot of us that have nobody, they didn't know what to do with that gift because nobody did it. I'm the first person in my family to actually, like, for real do this. And so, like, to pour into and sow and season in this young man, and I can literally, it's like, honestly, God was yelling at me to mentor him, and I didn't want to do it. And then when he got off stage, he walked up to me, "Mr. Rel, can you mentor me?" I was like, "All right, God."
Fine, I'll mentor you. Fine, I'll mentor you.
Okay. And so, but that's a part of it. Like, I was literally just, I ain't gonna say who it was, but I was meeting with a friend who works with a huge comedian, and he wanted to have lunch with me. I didn't know why. And it was kind of crazy sitting down with him. He's like, "Rel, we get into arguments about you because we've seen you literally put a bunch of people on different stuff, your movies, your TV show," which I've always been really good at that. Getting people writing jobs. I remember Issa called me about one of my homeboys. She didn't even know that was like my little homie, like little comic homie in Chicago. And I was waiting for moments like that when somebody calls me out the blue and I could speak up for you, and I ain't got to tell them that I know you. She only called because you was from Chicago. She don't know I know you. And I could say, "Hey, no, he'll be perfect for your room."
One of the there's this quote that says, "You want a friend that will shout your name out in a room full of opportunities," and you are that type of friend. Does that bring you joy? Because that's the theme of this 23rd Martha's Vineyard African American Film Festival, is what brings joy. And it radiates off you when you were talking about helping this young comic. It radiates off you when you were talking about the collaborative effort on set. It radiates off you when you talk about the people you've helped. So is that the joy?
1,000,000%. I intentionally, in the last few years, nobody knows this is what I've been doing, is intentionally been like making sure I collab with as many Black women as I can, as many young people of color. Even the festival I started in Chicago, it's the second year we're about to do. It's all about giving young Black and brown comics opportunity, because I got tired of these other festivals giving us crumbs. You know what I'm saying? These big festivals they do, and they be like, "Here comes the urban show," and then all of us is on this one weird Black show they created. Like, we not funny, which is so weird to me. It's so weird that Black people are so great at comedy that we're always kind of, it's even with the nominations for the Emmys, you know what I'm saying? Like, none of the Black shows, like, we're not funny or Black, like, it just doesn't make sense unless you're doing some crossover. So I've been very aggressive and very intentional about collabing with people that I could champion. Like, Chaz is, to me, a rising star director. And watching her deal with all the actors, our writer, our producers, and do it in such a great way. That's why this movie special that we're watching here at the festival, the class reunion. It's, and she's brilliant. She writes, she does all these different things. I can't wait to work with her on more stuff. I reached out to her recently just to talk about that. I've been moving in a way where, like, being inspired by Tyler Perry, which we need to stop, y'all. Let's stop talking about each other all the time. You can't get mad about what that brother's content is. If you want to do better, then shoot it.
Say that again. Say that again. Let them know, because
if you want to do better, because this is the thing about it. I don't know how you can get mad at somebody who truly spend their faith currency and God delivers on his end. So he's doing whatever he wants to. So you should be inspired by that. And that's what I've been. It's so interesting because I've been falling into that place where, like, we all get kind of judgmental, like this. And God checked me on that. Well, I started looking at Tyler Perry and George Lucas and even Steven Spielberg, like, let me create my own stuff and stop talking about what somebody else is doing.
Lil Rel Howery, inspiring people, collaborating with people, lifting people up. Yo, we gonna have to stop calling you Lil. You big. The way you standing now, you standing on business big.
You know what's funny about that? Because people always ask me what happened. Took the Lil Rel down. It just took one random person telling me that name wouldn't be in lights. Because it felt too ghetto. So
I'm just saying the name.
I ain't changed.
The name is the name, but you standing tall.
Yeah, that's what it is. But it ain't changing because you should have told me that.
The Class Reunion, actor, producer on it, Lil Rel Howery, name up in lights. Thank you for joining us.
Appreciate it, brother. Thank you for having me.